Hello folks, welcome back. Got another little video for you. Gonna upload this onto Terrarium Firma since I'm back up and running out of YouTube jail with that one. Now, I don't know if you remember, John Owen mentioned in his book that the Illuminati had a military compound on Mount Hermon, where fallen angels mated with human women and produced the Nephilim as offspring. And he said that to this day, the UN, which is run by the Illuminati, the Nephilim, according to John Owen, they have a base there today that you can actually see. Mount Hermon is a mountain cluster constituting the southern end of the Anti-Lebanon mountain range. Its summit straddles the border between Syria and Lebanon. It's the highest point in Syria. On the top, in the United Nations buffer zone between Syrian and Israeli-occupied territories, is the highest permanently manned UN position in the world, known as Hermon Hotel, located 2,814 meters in altitude. Let's have a look at it. There is a base, a fortified compound with a great big whacking great star on it. And this sort of communications dish, is it? Satellite dish? Something like that. The UN, the Illuminati, with their symbol, the star. Is that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8-pointed star? The Hermon Hotel. So they got this base, they got a machine gun turret, and just bizarre. Why? Why do they need a base up there? Well, my feeling is that Illuminati, the fallen angels, did not come down to earth from heaven. They did come from Mount Hermon, however. So if they didn't come from up, they must have come from below. There must be a cavern system within Mount Hermon where these creatures emerged from. And if you look into the names of Shiva, like I showed in my video a couple of days ago, one of the names of Shiva is he who resides in mountains, or likes living in mountains. And there is a mountain in the Himalayas which is supposed to be the abode of Lord Shiva. Let's have a look at it. This is Mount Kailash, and it is believed that Shiva resides there. What's inside Mount Kailash? There you go. The Buddhists believe that it contains caves where holy sages reside in their material and subtle bodies. Okay, and it's believed to be the Axis Mundi. So we'll look at Kailash. There it is. A lot of people think that Shiva actually is inside it, and he defends it because nobody, so far as I know, has managed to summit. And it's a particularly steep and difficult climb, and so that presents one obstacle. But apparently, whoever goes up there always perishes if they try to reach the top. And some people think that it is actually defended by Shiva himself, that he'll kill you if you go up there. He'll shoot you. He'll do something to you. Maybe he's got yetis protecting the place. I don't know. I'm just saying. Shiva is known to live in mountains. That's one of the names I showed in my video. Okay, that's all well and good. So just to give you a quick recap, my theory that I've been outlining in my videos is that the sons of God, the fathers of the Nephilim, who created this hybrid race, and their leader is, they're sons of God, so they're sons of Yahweh. They are followers, they are descendants, they are the progeny of Yahweh. They are underground cave dwellers. They are cavemen. They are pan-troglodytes. Not the chimpanzee. I'm talking about the real pan-troglodytes. Pan, the god of lonely places, the god of forests. Troglodytes meaning caveman. They live in caves. So, what is the evidence that there are caves inside Mount Hermon where these things could have emerged from? At the base of Mount Hermon, there is an ancient cave which has a spring coming out of it, and it's associated with the god Pan. But it's a lot more than that. It's a lot more than that. It's actually the gates of hell. And by hell, I mean El. Everybody knows the Phoenicians worshipped El. The Phoenician word for the definite article is Ha. You put Ha in front of El, you get hell. So Elohim, they come from hell. So in the Garden of Eden, which would be a forest, it's always depicted as a forest, where Pan would be lurking around, the Elohim, the people of El, or the people of hell, that's the satyrs, or these Bigfoot things, these creatures, devils. That's where they made a race of man in their image. They wanted a type of man that could be a vessel for their own soul, their own consciousness, so they could walk among men without standing out, without being noticed. So literally this place is the gates of hell. And this word hell proves that the God of the Bible, El, and the followers of the God of the Bible, the people of El, the Elohim, are devils. A whole shrine, a whole complex rose up about this cave in ancient times, and the followers of Pan, who worshipped Pan, would go there, and they would do their fertility rites and worship. And today it's still there at the foot of Mount Hermon, and you can visit it if you want to go to Israel. You can visit this place. It says here, city of pagans, Caesarea Philippi, which stood in a lush area near the foot of Mount Hermon, was a city dominated by immoral activities and pagan worship. Caesarea Philippi stood only 25 miles from the religious communities of Galilee, but the city's religious practices were vastly different from those of the nearby Jewish towns. In Old Testament times, the northeastern area of Israel became a center for Baal worship. In the nearby city of Dan, Israelite king Jeroboam built the high place that angered God and eventually led the Israelites to worship false gods. Eventually, worship of the Baals was replaced with worship of Greek fertility gods. Caesarea Philippi, which stood in a lush area near the foot of Mount Hermon, became the religious center for the worship of the Greek god Pan. The Greeks named the city Panias in his honor. So the modern day way of writing is Banias or Banyas. Years later, when Romans conquered the territory, Herod Philip rebuilt the city and named it after himself. Oh, that's why it's called Caesarea Philippi. Okay. But Caesarea Philippi continued to focus on worship of Greek gods. In the cliff that stood above the city, local people built shrines and temples to Pan. Interestingly, Jesus chose to deliver a sort of graduation speech to his disciples at Caesarea Philippi. In that pagan setting, he encouraged his disciples to build a church that would overcome the worst evils. The gates of hell. To the pagan mind, the cave at Caesarea Philippi created a gate to the underworld where fertility gods lived during the winter. They committed detestable acts of worship to these false gods. Caesarea Philippi's location was especially unique because it stood at the base of a cliff where spring water flowed. At one time, the water ran directly from the mouth of a cave set in the bottom of the cliff. The pagans of Jesus' day commonly believed that their fertility gods lived in the underworld during the winter and returned to earth each spring. They saw water as a symbol of the underworld and thought that their gods traveled to and from that world through caves. To the pagan mind, then, the cave and spring water at Caesarea Philippi created a gate to the underworld. They believed that their city was literally at the gates of the underworld, the gates of hell. In order to entice the return of their god Pan, each year the people of Caesarea Philippi engaged in horrible deeds, including prostitution and sexual interaction between humans and goats. When Jesus brought his disciples to the area, they must have been shocked. Caesarea Philippi was like a red light district in their world, and devout Jews would have avoided any contact with the despicable acts committed there. It was a city of people eagerly knocking on the doors of hell. Okay, so it says that these creatures, these people believed that these creatures, what they call fertility gods, were creatures that lived inside the mountain, inside the cave, and they could entice them out of the cave through sexual activity and attract them with sexual activity and especially activity with animals, with goats in particular. And this is just like witchcraft, like druidic witchcraft. I've done videos before. I've amply demonstrated that the whole point is to go into the woods. I mean, this is in there's plenty of books that I've cited where they explain this. They go into the woods, they do something to entice these gods out of the woods, out of the woodwork. And the witches, the pagans, they worship them. This is a picture of the grotto, Banias, and it's actually quite beautiful. A beautiful bit of water there. People to this day still visit. And apparently this was cut into the rock. This is not, they say, not a natural rock formation. And apparently it's limestone rock inside. And these, this will therefore be a karst, what they call a karst system. Let me explain what a karst system is. So karst systems are where you get limestone rocks. The water supposedly dissolves the limestone rocks, creating underground river systems and caves. We have it here in England. There's lots of caves that are formed that way. I know some places up in the Peak District where I often go hiking and exploring, and I've been into the caves there. They've got quite substantial cave systems. If we look at this map of the karsts in America, others, not me, but others have pointed out that this perfectly matches the frequency of Bigfoot sightings. And people have suggested that Bigfoots prefer habitat where they can access karst systems, because those are the cave systems where they sleep, where they hide, and where they spend their winters. Because down there, even in the harshest winter, the temperature doesn't vary throughout the year. Even if it's hot outside or if it's cold outside, it's always about, I'm not sure exactly how many degrees, but it's fairly cool, but it never gets any colder or hotter. It's a stable temperature. So that's why people suggest that the Bigfoots live down there. Well, what I'm saying is that these these creatures in Mount Hermon and in the Himalayas, where you have Mount Kailash, where Shiva is supposed to reside with all his attendants, the Yetis, right? Bigfoot. That's what we're talking about here. And these are the sons of God, because I've already showed that Yahweh in the Bible is one of these creatures, a kind of devil, a monster, a troll, an ogre, whatever you want to call it. I mean, our folklore and our history is just replete with references to these creatures, and people don't want to see the connection between the Bible and the folklore and the Bigfoot stories that, the modern day folklore that's being generated today with people coming along and talking about Bigfoot. So there's caste systems all over America. That explains Bigfoot, and there's caste systems inside Mount Hermon, which I'm saying explains these creatures that lived there inside Mount Hermon and eventually mated with human women, produced offspring, and that is the Nephilim race, which is behind the Illuminati. That's the high-ups in the Illuminati today. They created this new race of monsters, but in human form. They came out of there. A lot of people have suggested that Bigfoots may use water entrances, like they swim. They have submerged entrances to their caves. That's why people never find the entrances, because they're underneath the water. Bigfoots have been reported to be swimming and very good swimmers. This is a grotto where these creatures are said to reside. Okay, these are depictions of Pan. It's a phallic god obsessed with animal sex. And he's a hybrid himself. He's a cross between a goat and a human. There's pictures of him mating with goats. There's one there. Right. And he's big on music. And he's big on chasing women in the forest and raping them. He's hideous, but he can be charming and manages to seduce them, or just whatever. That's what the Illuminati is supposedly into in these underground bases, crossing humans with animals and doing immoral sex, things like that. And here is the god of the Freemasons, Baphomet, who looks just like Pan. He's got a goat head, goat legs, and he's got a phallus erection. So I'm just saying. So we have all these depictions of hell. They're all supposedly underground. People being raped by these monsters that look just like either devils or Bigfoots. Often these are animal-human hybrids. It's always underground. And it's the same thing all the time. Alright guys, thanks for watching.